core infrastructure that they offer for these financial institutions is battle tested, it's regulated, it's compliant. And he just said that if credit unions want to access Metallicus's coin, they are willing and able to offer that to them as a solution.
I really believe that you're going to see more and more and more transactions being done completely on chain for underlying assets, not just funds. And I think that the forms of payment that people are going to be using is going to be expanding pretty dramatically. We actually, in our thought leadership, kind of refer to it as we're moving into a high-tech barter society. Because not only can I use a tokenized deposit, I can use a stablecoin, but why wouldn't I be able to use tokenized gold? Why wouldn't I be able to use a cryptocurrency, right? If I'm looking to buy an asset, I should be able to buy it with any form of payment that is transparently valued and exchangeable, and be able to do that instantly on chain. And so I think this is really, a strong signal that we are going to see the entire financial market infrastructure shift onto new rails a lot faster than people anticipate.
Wow, what a phenomenal statement to kick off today's two-part video breakdown. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Deep CYPRX research video. In today's video, we're going to be diving down the rabbit hole in regards to some Metallicus and credit union fundamentals, along with some XDC fundamentals that have been circulating in the new year 2026. As always, we do appreciate the love and the support. If you guys enjoy these deep dives, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Starting off here with Sandy Call from Franklin Templeton, who also has valid credentials at the DTCC, the World Economic Forum, and the CFTC, said directly, we are headed into a digital barter system, a tokenized barter system. That is a huge confirmation where all of the traditional financial rails are about to come on chain. That is not coming from us here at CYPRX. That is coming from somebody with valid credentials in this space. And it goes hand in hand with what we're going to cover and talk about today. So starting off first with the Metallicus stable coins, their integration with credit unions, and everything that I have to show you guys today. Here with this post I said, it's so crazy how many people still walk around and have no clue that the rails of the financial system are being completely restructured. As you guys heard Sandy Call say, this is going to happen a lot faster than most people are assuming. A new architecture is forming. The financial system is shifting away from siloed intermediaries towards shared software-based coordination. This transformation mirrors earlier epochal shifts, from the rise of the web to the emergence of cloud, mobile, social platforms, and now artificial intelligence. But its impact on global economic activity may be even more profound. Now, who and what is this statement coming from? Well, this is coming directly from Circle's 2026 report, Beyond Stablecoins, the Rise of the Internet Financial System, that was just released just a couple of days ago. And so that aligns exactly with what Sandy Call from Franklin Templeton said. Now, another quick video clip, and shout out to I believe this is from the Tokenized podcast, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to them for this interview with Sandy Call. But there's one more video clip that Sandy Call mentions before we jump into Metallicus. And it's where she goes on to talk about how banks will get left behind if they don't adopt stablecoins. So heading to 28 minutes in this podcast, take a second and listen to what Sandy Call says, considering what Circle just put out in their updated 2026 document, The Rise of the Internet Financial System.
We are just at the beginnings of this proliferation of stablecoins and different stablecoin types for different use cases. And the banks are going to inevitably have to be able to interoperate across this whole space, or they risk really losing those deposits permanently, because once it's sitting in my wallet and I have any kind of self-custody arrangement, I can start moving those stablecoins around at will. So I do think that, a lot of banks are still trying to wrap their heads around what their strategy should be here. I think they have both a nearer term strategy to kind of prolong any defensiveness that they need to think about. And then they probably also have longer term strategies where they need to rethink where some of their own differentiation comes from.
So again, she just goes on to talk about how banks are going to need their own stable coins or they risk being left behind. Now, this perspective from Sandy Call goes hand in hand with John Ungerland's perspective, where he was on a podcast just last year with Marshall Hayner talking about the same exact thing. Take a second here and listen. This is directly from the CU broadcast, which is going to lead us into our discussion on Metallicus today. Listen to what Marshall Hayner and John Ungerland were talking about months ago. Listen to timelines that they were talking about, and then fast forward to some recent ongoing happenings that have been announced in January 2026 of this year.
And the consumers aren't always aware of the risks that they're assuming when they're expanding this space. What we see as very clear is that local FIs can have a clear value proposition to help members store and steward and use their digital assets. The local FI can become the best and most trustworthy digital asset wallet in the world and provide world-class service, which is not something that they're going to get elsewhere. Just try to get a hold of a human at these large online exchanges and service providers.
Yep.
The other thing that's happening, another very so first trend, money leaves, consumer learns, money doesn't come back. So we've got to provide them a reason to bring it back.
Yep.
And that's what our coin to core bridge and gateway does. I think the second point that Marshall's calling out about stablecoins is another very clear trend. Credit unions and local bankers need to be adopting and experimenting and preparing their own stablecoin offerings, because certainly if you just do basic AI searches, basic Google searches, you'll see that the larger financial institutions that would love to put local small institutions out of business have already built their own blockchain networks for faster, better, cheaper payments. And in the world of money data processing, of payments, of money movement, if your competitor can do something 1,000% cheaper than you, that's endgame. You're done. And what we know is that the large banks have already laid the foundations for their own stablecoin-based payment networks. And I'm sure they'll be happy to lease local financial institutions access to that at usurious rates. But the products like Metallicus and stablecoins and other global stablecoins out there is that these are open, decentralized technologies that credit unions and local financial institutions can use to their strategic advantage. And they don't have to be put out of business by or dependent upon or fleeced by these large banks and service providers anymore. They can take back control of payments. They can take back control of deposits. They can service digital wealth. They can generate revenues. Stable coins are a great initial doorway to walk through into that house of digital assets. We see it as an important part of any local FI strategy at this point. And that's why we wanted to pursue, and we're excited to announce this partnership with Metallicus. Let's put stable coins at the core of the banking operation. Let's make it as easy to deal in stable coins for your consumer and your operation as it is to deal in the electronic dollar. And let's take away the reasons that members have to leave institutions and deposit dollars, leave communities, and never come back.
So John Ungerland couldn't have said it better. He's talking about Metallicus and the technology that they provide and how it can keep financial institutions, particularly credit unions, relevant in this digital transformation in regards to stable coins and offering them to their clients and in their core banking infrastructure. Now, there was another comment at about 28 minutes and 30 seconds that John Ungerland makes. And it just goes to show, considering that we're going to fast forward to today's time frame, what he was talking about is actually playing out in real time. So let's go over to 28 minutes and play this video clip from John Ungerland. Again, pay attention to close detail as to the timeline that he says, and then we're going to read an announcement that just recently took place.
And others, and this type of money into their operations, then I'm sure JP Morgan and others, and Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, they'll be glad to gobble up market share and service digital for the 21st century, service wealth for the 21st century. So as regulation and legislation develop and become clearer federally and at the state level and global level, it's really important for local FIs to be proactive about getting plugged into this gateway and into these new types of money, so that protecting their place in the stream of money. Here's what I mean by that. The next thing that we'll see coming is the digital asset space is going to erode your interchange income.
That's what I've heard.
If you're a local financial institution out there and you make money off of plastic cards, hypothetically, that interchange income is a significant portion of your non-interest income or your operating income. If it's how you're staying alive, I can almost guarantee you that by January of 2026, you will see major moves and announcements and plays by merchant processors and other large out there where they will adopt digital asset payments, they will adopt stablecoin payments, they will adopt Bitcoin payments, because it will have a significant impact on their operating costs, and they will incentivize consumers to move away from traditional payment mechanisms that are slower, more expensive, and less secure. So come downstream, more legislation, more regulation, driving the consumers into these spaces vis-a-vis FIs, and probably some disruption and challenges to payments. The good news is, through our bridge and gateway in partnership with Metallicus, we can make sure that your deposit dollars don't have to leave your FI. Yeah. You stay a funding source in the payment stream and the transaction stream, and you can maintain wealth and share of wallet and continue to serve the community even as money morphs in the way that other services did when they bumped into the internet in the past.
Through our gateway, through our bridge, through our partnerships with Metallicus, you can remain relevant. And he talked specifically about these announcements in January 2026, which leads me over to this announcement from just yesterday. As of time of recording, it is the 14th. This was announced yesterday, January 13th, 2026. And it goes on to read, DaLand Canvas, the credit union industry's definitive provider for core integrated digital assets, today announced that Canvas Credit Union has become an owner in the CUSO following the successful deployment of DaLand's battle-tested coin-to-core solution inside Canvas's Jack Henry's Scimitar environment. With Canvas ownership investment, DaLand has now achieved strategic coverage of key core banking systems, Correlation Keystone, Fiserv, DNA, and Jack Henry Scimitar, making it possible for thousands of credit unions to actually immediate turnkey access to more than $2.5 trillion in Bitcoin and digital asset liquidity without sacrificing control, compliance, or member relationship. This milestone closes the loop on our 2025 strategy imperative, said John Ungerland, which involves Metallicus, their core-to-core offering solution, right? Again, this is just crazy that he called this out in an interview months ago, and now this is happening in real time in the exact timeline that he said it would, right? John Ungerland goes on to say, who's again the CIO and chief of staff at DaLand Canvas, credit unions no longer have to wonder if digital assets can live natively inside their core infrastructure. They already do. On all three major platforms, Canva's decision to take ownership proves the model the future of money will be owed and governed cooperatively, not rented from Silicon Valley or Wall Street. Our team has proven for years now that we can put digital assets at the core of your banking business and keep local financial institutions plugged into the future of money. So I thought that one was just phenomenal to see that he was on a podcast months ago talking and discussing about this with Metallicus, the CEO. And now in real time, we're starting to see this unfold in the exact time frame that he said it would, which just goes to show that he was telling the truth. Now here we are. As we continue down the rabbit hole, I said to you guys yesterday in this post, what's going on, Metallicus community? One of the ecosystem partners, InvestiFi, is hosting a CU broadcast panel with credit union leaders on digital investing in the future of banking applications. This is the same platform integrating digital investing directly into regulated financial institutions. This panel discussion is taking place on January 21st, 2026. If you want to see how real-world adoption is unfolding, this is worth watching. We all can register on this link. We'll dive here into this in just 1 second. But before we do, shout out to XPROG for sending me this particular video breakdown. This is InvestiFi, and they're sitting in on the CU broadcast from about a month ago. And again, they go on to talk about their partnership with Metallicus and how this transformation of money, stable coins, and how everything is going digital. Take a second and listen. Before I play this real fast, I do want to apologize that there is a lot of background noise in this video. So if it comes off very loud as I'm playing this recording, I do apologize. But again, take a second here and listen.
A super interesting time to be in this space, and it's really coming full circle for us. You know, we used to be called CryptoFi, and I actually announced at Venture Tech, I think it was 2 years ago, that we were rebranding to InvestiFi, because at the time we were in the middle of crypto winter. Credit unions didn't want to do crypto, and so we feel very fortunate to just have made it through the crypto winter. But you know, in the midst of it, we were still building value. Like we delivered in production on 2 different digital banking providers on 2 different cores back in 2023, the ability for members to convert crypto to US dollars in near real time using the banking core. And so we're the first ones to do that. We've been live with that now for over 2 years. We've been battle tested with NCUA audits, various state audits, et cetera, et cetera. We have thousands of members using the product. We have real data to show on the adoption and volume that's flowing through our platform, which is material. We have real ROI that we can show with that real data. And so, you know, that's really what we're so excited about now, is the Genius Act and that enabling this new dynamic of stablecoins, while it still is likely early in the United States for anyone to be using stablecoins for a mass retail product. We see the world going in that direction, and it is being used more outside of the United States for just, you know, for retail. I think a lot of people agree that there's value in cross-border payments for stablecoins, but eventually in the United States, there's going to be more of a push to using stablecoin for retail payments. When that's going to be is likely a function of when rewards mechanisms kicks in, and companies that will actually pay members or users for using stablecoins, just like we see cash back on cards today, right? But when that happens, we're already going to be there to support it. You know, with our partnerships that we have in place, we're multi-custodial now too as well. We have our primary custodian is BitGo, the second largest crypto custodian in the world, only behind Coinbase. And the big difference between BitGo and Coinbase is BitGo does not compete direct to consumer. So BitGo is only B2B, right? Coinbase is eating credit unions' deposits for lunch. And so, you know, we want to work with partners that can enable credit unions and not compete with credit unions. And the great thing about BitGo and their scale is they're able to turn on new coins as they come into the ecosystem. And so we just announced yesterday a partnership with Metallicus. And so, you know, we're not out there pushing Metallicus's coin for them, but if credit unions want to use it, we're happy to support it, because we can do so turnkey, very seamlessly, where credit unions doing implementation with us can just tell us what coins they want to turn on so they can turn on US.
Now, I want you guys to just take into consideration what he just said. First off, go back to all the regulatory clarity that they have as an organization that he mentioned at the very onset of his statement, that their core infrastructure that they offer for these financial institutions is battle tested, it's regulated, it's compliant. And he just said that if credit unions want to access Metallicus's coin, they are willing and able to offer that to them as a solution. Now, for this particular post, this was shared to me by XPROG. So shout out to you for this one, my brother. But wow, what a great post, and just more solidification that Metallicus is building something of value in this space. To wrap this up, back to this announcement, I will personally be tuning into this StreamYard live. Credit unions are at a critical crossroad. To end it here, many members want to start investing but don't meet traditional wealth management thresholds. When those needs go unmet, members may turn to digital-first platforms, taking deposits and long-term relationships with them. On Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, so in just a few days from now, for an informational CU broadcast webinar featuring industry leaders who will explore how digital investing solutions can help credit unions better serve emerging investors while staying true to their mission. You have Alien Financial Credit Union, you have Frank Myth Credit Union, and you also have Chief Revenue Officer from InvestiFi attending this event. So I personally will be tapping in with them. As we know, Metallicus is a partner of InvestiFi. This was announced November 3rd, 2025. Make sure that you guys tune in. Again, I posted the link so that you guys can register to this broadcast over on my X profile. If you guys don't follow me over on X, it's C_Demancore as my handle. And you guys have that LinkedIn website to register for this event there. Now, that is it for today's first portion of this video breakdown. I will see you guys over in part 2, where we're going to get into some XDC developments. We're going to jump back into the talking points from Sandy Calls Franklin Templeton and some statements that she made on the Tokenized podcast. With that being said, if you guys enjoy the first portion of today's video breakdown, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate the love and the support, and I'll see you guys over in part 2 of today's video breakdown.